Thank you, Doro. And now we go from a president to a queen, the sweet potato queen herself, Jill Connor Browne. Jill's outrageous humor and Southern sensibility have made her one of the country's most popular authors. Her best-selling books include The Sweet Potato Queen's Guide to Raising Children for Fun and Profit, and The Sweet Potato Queen's Wedding Planner and Divorce Guide. Her newest book is The American Thighs, The Sweet Potato Queen's Guide to Preserving Your Assets, and about growing older and, well, and the bumps and curves along the way. I know you'll all enjoy meeting her, and here she is, the Sweet Potato Queen.
Okay, let me get my nest made here, move this up for normal-sized people. How are we doing? Wow, this is big. This is certainly one of the greatest honors and privileges in my career as an author and certainly as an American. I am the self-proclaimed sweet potato queen. As far as I know, I'm the world's only full-time professional sweet potato queen. I can tell you it has nothing to do with sweet potatoes. I'm really only interested in the queen part. There's really no time to explain what a sweet potato queen is here today, but I do have 8 books on the subject, which I hope you will buy all of them. My plastic surgeon also hopes that you will buy all of them. But I will say that my evolution into the sweet potato queen did have a lot to do with the fact that my earliest ambition in life was to be 5'2", have long red hair, green eyes, large breasts, little feet, and be able to sing. None of that has worked out. The outfit that I wear that has remedied some of those deficiencies in the way I turned out is not seaworthy, which is why I'm not wearing it today. But I did, of course, wear my travel hair for y'all. You know, this is one of the worst parts about getting older that I have found. Not that I found any of the good parts, but there's really no way to make a point quite as emphatically as when you're young and have all that hair to sling around. You know, you can really let somebody know that you are definitely pissed off, you know, if you can sling that hair. And I will tell you, this will stay on for some pretty good tossing. Now, we will see today on the deck just how firmly it is attached, but I'm thinking that maybe one of these symbol flags represents hair overboard, so we'll see. My daddy was a big influence on my life as a humor writer, and so I'm going to read a little bit from God Save the Sweet Potato Queens today about my daddy. When I sign your book later, I will put my business card in your book. It says, "Lick you all over 10 cents. Ask about our other specialties." No one has ever lost my business card. When you use this card, and I can pretty much tell by looking at y'all which ones will or have, get the dime first, okay? We all like to think they won't cheat us out of a dime, however, history has sadly shown otherwise, has it not? That's your loss leader. The other specialties in the fine print should be wildly expensive. That is my financial tip. My daddy grew up in Attala County, Mississippi, out from Ethel, Mississippi to be exact, which is a suburb of Kosciuszko, just to place it for you. They didn't have indoor plumbing back then. They also didn't have any outdoor plumbing. In the house at night or in bad weather, they used a slop jar. The prissy folks called it a chamber pot, which they then took outside to empty at a more convenient time. Or they just went in the woods, which were nearby and plentiful. Daddy, always the outdoorsman, made sort of a hobby, as only a guy would think of, out of thinking up new and interesting places outside in which to answer nature's call. His favorite place was to climb a tree, select a sturdy limb with a big fork in it, drop trowel, perch in the fork, and let fly. I'm so proud. He found this highly invigorating in one of those bizarre boy ways. I personally cannot imagine any circumstances under which I could or would do this in or from a tree. I have not, in my informal but exhaustive surveys, found any woman who can imagine such a thing. But tell this story to a guy, and his little face just lights right up. Anyway, Daddy had gone to his favorite tree one hot summer day, and his dog Rags followed him, waiting, wagging, looking up expectantly into the leafy canopy, awaiting the descent of his boy. Daddy tried mightily to shoo him away to no avail. Finally, nature could wait no longer. Plummeting earthward and coming to rest smack on top of the dog's head. Now, Rags had no idea what was on his head, only that something had fallen out of the sky, landed on his head, and stuck there. He was completely undone by the whole thing, as any dog would be, and he took off running and hollering across the field. Meanwhile, my granddaddy, the ineffable Harvey, who was plowing behind a big old red mule. Now, Harvey was deaf as a post, so he didn't know that Rags was hollering. He only saw the dog's rapidly approaching shadow coming up from behind him. And being an affable, dog-loving kind of guy, Harvey never looked away from the row he was plowing, but just reached down to pat Rags on the head as he came up alongside him and drew back a handful of, well, freshly minted umps. Nonplussed, I don't think would quite cover Harvey's reaction. I am at a loss to express the multiplicity of feelings that must have enveloped him. He just looped the reins over the plow handle and slowly ambled on up to the house, occasionally looking at his soiled hand and shaking his head. He drew some water from the well as he stood scrubbing his hand on the back porch of the old farmhouse. His wife, my grandmother, Carrie, headed out to see why he had stopped plowing in the middle of the day, in the middle of a row, to come back to the house to wash his hands. When he saw her coming, he turned to her with soulful, searching eyes and posed one of those haunting parental questions that will linger throughout the ages. "Ma," he asked, "what in this world could I have done to that boy to make him sit on his own dog's head and sick him on me?" Is anybody surprised to learn that that boy grew up to be a sailor? He served on an LST in all 5 theaters of World War II as an electrician's mate. But his more important role to the service of his country during that great war was as the leader of the 4 Old Salts. On the first shore leave that they took in North Africa, they bought a very small still. Now, my father became the CO of the 4 Old Salts because he was the only one from Attala County, Mississippi, which means he was the only one that knew how to run a still. Some of my most prized possessions, I have my daddy's dress blues, I have his peacoat, which I have with me today, and this bottle. This is a special bottle. Daddy drew on it. It's got the 4 Old Salts label on it. It says, "This fine old product of the deep is not less than 24 hours old. 150 proof, bottled in the bilges." This was a reserve bottle, special reserve, that they sealed and they signed it. It says it was distilled and bottled aboard the LST 373, August 20th, 1944, in the English Channel. And they signed on here that we do hereby agree to refrain from breaking the seal on this bottle until a quorum of the members of the 4 Old Salts is present. The spirits that were distilled in this bottle had the kick of a mule. The spirits of the men, the 4 old salts, are invincible. The seal is broken on this bottle, indicating that they all made it home. I call on the spirits of the 4 old salts to stand watch over all who sail on this ship and under this magnificent flag anywhere. I raise this bottle in salute to the memory of the 4 old salts, Connor, Cage, Cook, and Bayer, and in honor of the mightiest force on the seas, the United States Navy. May God save, bless, and protect you all and the United States of America. Can I get an amen? Thank you very much.